Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We rented movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Well, fancy that. Looks like McLeach has begun trapping his own kind. There's no hope for any of us now.
No hope! No hope!
No!
But there must be a way out of here.
Oh, there's a way out, all right.
There
is? Absolutely. You'll go as a wallet, you'll go as a belt, and our dear Frank.
No, I don't want to hear it.
Frank will go as...
I can't hear you. Billy Bum.
a purse.
Ah, no!
Oh, a lovely lady's purse.
I don't want to go as a purse.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
And Sweetie always catches my eye sometimes.
I wasn't even looking at you.
I knew you were laughing, so
I was
made
looking
me
at the
tense
ceiling
up.
and then I started laughing.
Well,
So.
Okay.
Does not work.
Anyways, so big news, guys. We are officially in week 2 of the unofficial Australian-themed movie fest.
What? I didn't even know this was happening.
Actually, so funny story is, not really, but I went to the library today to peruse for DVDs.
Yeah. Also big news, guys. We got a DVD player.
Yeah.
Well, we actually had one
I
for
had
a
had
while.
it, yeah, but I didn't have a real computer to like hook it up to and buy programs with and shit. And then I needed an HDMI cord, and then I had to buy a converter.
So,
So long story short,
typical Sweetie, weeks in the making turned into months in the making /
you know what?
years.
It's hard. It's
No,
hard to
Sweetie
get things done.
Collective Sweeties.
Oh, okay, sure. So anyways, so we're like, hey, let's go to the library.
Let's go to the library.
So he's been singing that song all day, different versions. And just look for Disney movies so we can finally start doing some fucking Disney movies, because that's all I want in my life.
Yeah, it's the struggle is real,
okay.
guys.
So I get
not available to stream. I'm just saying this is why we haven't done Disney movies.
The good
just so
Disney
you know.
movies are not available to stream. You have to buy them for $15.
$20.
Would I pay
$20?
$20? Yes, because we also bought all 3 Star Wars movies, which I don't regret. And now we can watch them whenever we want.
Okay, those were not $11 or were not $12.
They were pretty expensive.
They were $20. Sorry,
I think they were.
I think they were under
Check
10.
Check the receipt. Check the receipt.
Okay, well, I mean,
Okay. Anyway, so library story. So I get to the library, right? And I'm like in the DVD section. There's always like smelly homeless guys that smell like cigarettes in the movie section because they're the only people that apparently still rent DVDs, question mark. So I'm in the section and this guy is next to me like mumbling something weird. And I'm like, this is freaking me out. And I'm like flipping through the movies. And I'm like, these are all very adult. I'm like, where are the kids movies? And I was like, hello, kids movies, kids section, duh. So then I go on a mad hunt to find the kids section in this fucking library. No offense, BPL. I know you just redid it and all, but like, do we need the kids section to be on the top floor? I don't know. So I go
away
up
from
there.
homeless people.
True. I go up there. I'm in the kids section. I feel very weird and uncomfortable because there's kids everywhere, and I feel like I'm not supposed to be there. Find my way to the DVD section. It's haphazardly labeled. Someone has put in the movie Sinister in the kids section, which is a very scary horror movie. Not a great one, but I would be sad if a kid picked that up by accident and was like, look, Mom. So peruse for Disney movies. So I got a list, right? I got Aladdin, I got The Little Mermaid, I got Sleeping Beauty, I got Cinderella, I got Beauty and the Beast.
The great.
I go through all of them. Nothing. You know what they do have? Those fucking live action shitty movies that, well, maybe are good. I don't know. But do we need 10 copies of the live action Beauty and the Beast DVD, Sweetie?
No, that movie was trash.
Okay. That's what I thought. So I'm pretty pissed about it. So they didn't have any of those. But they had the
Rescuers Down Under.
Right. So keeping with the theme, obviously we did Crocodile Dundee last week.
I mean, to sum it up, really, there were two movies that framed our entire, basically taught us everything we know about Australia. One, Crocodile Dundee, done it. Two, Rescuers Down Under.
And to be fair, I think everyone's in the same boat there. I don't think that the world did a great job of showing the real Australia to us.
Not a lot of stuff comes out of Australia, if you think about it.
Well, I think a lot of stuff does, but we just don't get to see it.
Right.
And so
it doesn't make its way here,
that's
which
the
is
unfortunate thing.
Which is unfortunate.
So the only reference point we have is the crocodile hunter, like character, right? This like guy who's in the outback catching crocs and doing all kinds of crazy things. So, I mean, R.I.P. Crocodile Hunter. Wait, is the Crocodile Hunter the same? Is the guy that died from the stingray?
Yeah,
okay.
Steve Irwin.
I was like, Steve Zahn? No.
Who randomly, I just saw a picture of his daughter on Twitter with like a big tarantula.
Mindy.
She's so pretty now. Yeah.
Why?
She's always pretty, but yeah, it was, I don't know, something about her cuddling a spider.
Oh my
and
God.
people were like,
I'm so
being
glad
like,
I did.
man, white girls are crazy.
God.
But then someone like realized it was her, and they were like, oh, I guess that's not that
I'm
crazy.
so glad I did not see that. That would have ruined my whole day.
But yeah, so a couple things about this movie. So, Rescuers Down Under is actually was the first Disney sequel of an animated film that they did. So the original was The Rescuers from 1977, which is
Crazy.
like,
Is that the longest time
old-
between a sequel ever?
Right? Yeah. So too old for sweeties, really. Like that, we did eventually seek that out, but this was the one we
I did
watched
not.
first and the most. The first one is nice. It sets up all the characters and stuff. It's not that great of a story. It's like this girl who gets kidnapped by this woman with crocodiles. She lives on a riverboat. It's something with like stolen jewels.
Yeah. I've seen pictures, but I don't think I've actually seen the movie.
It's okay, but it just doesn't have like the charm of this one. And obviously the animation is like so much better. So we grew up on this movie. We probably either rented it or saw it on the Disney Channel, and then typical Ron Dumas style, taped it off the TV, and then we had a bootleg copy to have and to hold for the rest of our lives, which really, was amazing. So we watched this nonstop, fucking loved the shit out of this movie. And it's just that case for us, similar like we talked about Look Who's Talking 2, that the sequel is really the only one we watched, and when we just think it's a better movie, right?
I mean, again, to be fair, haven't really seen the first one. Don't really care. But I love this one, and I think it's so funny and clever. And we'll talk about this obviously more as we go along, but I think that the humor in this is not cheesy. Like I guess most Disney movies, the humor, right? It's not like overly cheesy. It's not like
or not overly
dumb
kid. They've never been like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, I love that. And obviously rewatching it totally stands up for me. We were laughing a lot. Yeah. And part of that could have been because we have a lot of weird inside jokes with this movie. And I don't know if other people have, but whatever.
First, when the credits rolled, I was like, ooh, wow, animation's come like a long way. But then as it went on, I was like, this is actually beautiful, like great animation. It's that very like style of, there's only two humans in this. Or maybe three, but kind of the point is that they don't show adults' faces really at all. And I'm going to ask you later like what you think that means. But it's kind of like the main person is this little boy named Cody, and it's that kind of Disney big-eyed kind of character, where the eyes take up like almost the whole face, and the animation is obviously so much around animals and wildlife and stuff. So it's really actually beautiful.
Yeah.
So the animation does really hold up for me. Sure. So I'm happy about it. Mm-hmm. And then I also just want to say that I feel like this might be one that people aren't as aware of because it falls into a little bit of that Disney. I'm going to use the term B-list, but it's not. It doesn't mean that those movies are like not as good.
Sorry, cat situation as usual. No, but I think that the problem maybe was the sequel thing. So this failed at the box office, which unfortunately it was against Home Alone. Which, I mean, who could have predicted a kid home alone with house robbers? What are they called? Crooks? No, bandits. The bandits. Burglars. I was like the wet bandits. And I think part of it too could have been the sequel aspect. None of us, because this came out in the 90s, the original was in the 70s, none of us had seen the old one, probably.
Yeah. And it's not important that you do.
It's not.
Because they set everything up.
But it's just strange that they chose that movie to make a sequel about. Like, I
Right.
would like to know what the thought process was to that, as opposed to something like Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty, or like something that was kind of timeless.
But I mean, that plot is one that would hold up for a sequel, though, because you're talking about like mice rescuing like little kids. But when I say B-list, and I wrote like this list down because when we were looking on movies to stream tonight, the only ones you can stream are ones in this sort of B-list like category, right? Mm-hmm. So you're talking about Rescuers 1 and 2, Lady and the Tramp.
That wasn't one. That was when you had, that was a
okay. I still
more expensive one.
That still to me is like the next tier down.
That.
It's so great. It's a great movie, but it's just next tier down for me because it's a little bit older. Sword in the Stone, Robin Hood, and then these two, which honestly I have never seen: Aristocats and Oliver and Company.
Me neither.
Have you seen those?
No.
Okay. So those are the cat ones.
I know,
and you're
which
like,
is
that's
strange.
weird.
I love cats.
Yeah. Why wouldn't we have seen the cat ones? But these are like just the ones that were like. I love, but I think they're just older. I think they were like from the 70s.
Yeah, but Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella were way older than that, and we love those ones.
But these ones, I mean, I hate to say it, these ones were not featuring princesses.
Exactly. It was like animals was a little different.
Right.
But I loved Peter Pan, and that was super old too. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know what the formula here is. I think it's just if you watched it a lot when you were little, you had a connection to it.
Right.
Some people did watch those ones when they were young.
And also musical wise, right? So the ones that we love and the ones that came out when we were little kids. So you're talking about the three greats for us are Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and then Lion King if you want to add that on there. And those were like they came out when we were little kids. They exactly framed our childhood, and they came with these amazing sing-along soundtracks that like you were obsessed with. So obviously that's why we like elevate those, and then the other ones are just like a little bit different, right?
Well, we did have a Disney tape. Remember this tape? It was a cassette tape. It was white with purple writing on it. Had all the Disney hits. Had some from movies we didn't really know.
Jungle Book.
Right. One of them I loved was called Everybody Wants to Be a Cat, which is from the Aristocats.
Right.
And I love that song. Actually,
I was singing that in the shower today.
Still play it occasionally on my playlist.
Ready?
I love when it picks up and like, everybody wants to be a cat. Hallelujah, everybody wants to be a cat.
Okay, Jesus.
So good.
Smokey Joe Robinson over here. Cafe.
So good. I love it.
Wait, I was thinking of the part in the shower today that was like, a square with a home makes you wish you weren't born every time he plays. Oh, a rinky-tinky-tinky. But the square and the act can get music back to the caveman days. Bum, 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 bum. Well, I heard some corny birds that tried to sing, but still the cat's the only cat who knows how to swing. Who wants to be the one for me to stuff like It's amazing how we still know those songs. Anyways, Rescue Arts Down Under. So good. So it features obviously a lot of vocal talents from old famous people. So from the likes of Bob Newhart, Ava Gabor, John Candy, and George C. Scott. So they got like a lot of big name old famous people.
It's pretty impressive
to
actually
this.
for a Disney movie because really the only other Disney movies that had famous people as voices I would say is The Lion King.
Right.
I can't think of any others that you would be like, oh yeah, other than like Steve from Full House, which it's pretty good. But
right. And back in the day, they didn't like do that.
Right.
I know now they feature like a lot of famous people, but like
now, this was one of the first, probably actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, like old Hollywood almost.
Right.
So it's not like a kid would know. Like who's George C. Scott?
Yeah.
But a parent, I think maybe that's why they did it. Maybe in some ways. Well, they did it to continue on from the 70s one. But like, if a parent saw this and we're like, "Wow, that's Patton. That's George C. Scott."
Yeah.
Like that'd be kind of
cool. I don't know. Yeah, and I think that another thing is that back in the day with the old Disney movies, you had a set of voice actors where like that was their job. The voice of Wendy is the same woman as the voice of Alice from Alice in Wonderland. So it's just you had these kind of rotating people. Would love to know who the voice of the Prince in Cinderella is because he is fucking hot. He says one line in the whole movie, and I'm there. I'm there for it.
I was always more a Prince Philip. I'm
You
Sleeping
say
Beauty.
that, but he has
Hot
weird
as
colored hair
fuck.
that I'm not in.
I mean,
I'm not into
it's
it.
olive colored.
Right? It's weird. Oh my god, I can't wait to watch
It's
that.
hot.
So Sweetie and I are going to request all of these greater Disney movies, and hopefully we'll get them in at the good old library, provided they work. So actually, true story. So we got the DVD tonight. Turns out it didn't play because, you know what, there was a scratch on it, which is an unfortunate side effect of DVDs in general. So we ended up having to buy it anyways, but it was only $2. We rented it.
We
so
wanted
it was
to
fine.
follow through.
But just sneak peek behind the scenes action for you. But yeah, so I think we should just quit gabbing. This is our longest pre-gab I think we've ever done.
Oh
We
my
just love
god!
Disney movies.
Yeah.
I could talk all day, all week long.
Well, we'll zoom through the plot. I mean, it's pretty.
I don't know. It's pretty
pretty intense.
complicated. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
All right.
Yes.
It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah.
Sweeties.
Pea soup.
Cody, no last name, is a boy.
I missed that riff. Haven't done it in a while.
is a young boy living in Australia in a place called Mugwump Flats.
Wow, where'd you get that info?
They said it like 10 times.
What?
Yeah. Pay attention. He is an animal lover. He sleeps in a hammock, first of all, which is like, if you're trying to like not stereotype people that live in Australia, probably not the best thing. But,
in a bedroom though.
right, which I'm like, do we need the hammock? I don't know. It seems uncomfortable. But I guess like maybe if you're in the outback, it's different. I don't know.
Wait, I just want to give one tiny shout out to hammocks because we had some like epic ones growing up and we had like a blast with them. Remember, like during birthday parties?
I was terrified of hammocks. Forget it.
And at my birthday parties, we would wrap kids in the hammock and then just like swing them like rapid fire, like make it into like an amusement park ride. I just remember Jimmy Shea in the hammock on my
Yes.
birthday party.
We have it on video. It's fantastic.
I love hammocks.
Yeah, I don't. They're very untrustworthy, and you just never. They're
You
loose
just gotta
cannons.
get in. Once
They're
you get in,
they're
you're
loose
good.
cannons. I don't know. It's that getting in there is the hard part. For me, anyways. I try once, and I'm like, okay, I give up.
I was gonna say ours was flimsy as
Yeah,
shit.
ours was
though.
really
that was
rickety.
like not for adults. I don't know if like mom and dad ever gotten that.
Who put that up?
Dad did.
I know,
He
but
screwed
like,
it between the trees, and then we didn't have any trees in our backyard. That was the end of the hammock.
oh man, okay, good times, hammocks. So Cody goes off into the outback because a kangaroo alerts him that a giant golden eagle has been trapped on a very tall mountain top and needs help rescuing.
What is that famous rock in
Ayers Rock.
Yeah, it looks kind of like that. No,
It might be. I don't know. It's very tall. He climbs up there, no rope. It's super impressive. Gets to the top, frees this golden eagle, who accidentally pushes him off the cliff because she wants to get out of there. She's like, I'm leaving, peace. But whoops, he falls off, almost dies, but she
Question.
rescues him.
why? If every other animal talks to Cody, golden eagle does not.
Okay, well, no other birds talk either.
Oh, okay.
Or the snakes, but the lizards do. So
Right.
it's very
not,
uneven.
It's not just mammals.
But I did notice no other birds spoke.
That's
So
a-
maybe
a
that's
good
like
call, good
a
call.
bird brain thing. I don't know. No, it's pretty racist against birds. But I thought that too. I was like, what would her voice be like? Thank you, Cody.
Why didn't they make her have a?
I
Yeah,
don't
it just
know.
seems strange.
I don't know. I'd like to ask.
Do all or not? Like all or not?
Right. It's weird. So anyway, so he saves her and they become fast friends. She introduces him to her eggs. We find out that her husband has been killed. So
As
she's
one
a
would-
widow.
we
She's a
would do.
widow. She's a widow. Very sad. And then Cody gets dropped off back on the ground and she's like, see ya. And he's like, bye. And then he takes off. And then he hears a little mouse stuck in a trap. And he goes to try to rescue this mouse. And the mouse is like, no, it's a trap, it's a trap, it's a trap. But he doesn't listen to him because he's just concentrating on getting him out of that fucking trap because he's a do-gooder. He's a do-gooder, that Cody.
Yep.
And he
That's what he
falls
is.
in the trap, crashes down, bam, done. So we hear a ruckus. And there's this big, great, scary truck coming. And it is a poacher named McLeach. Percival Everett McLeach.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe. Sounds like a horror movie character. And he's terrifying. He is a poacher. He's on these wanted signs on trees, which I hate to break it to you, McLeach, but like if you are on wanted posters, probably don't drive around in a big giant truck that makes a lot of noise and is very large. It's just, it seems pretty obvious. Like, where could that McLeach be? Oh, I don't know. What are these big tire tracks? Oh, like,
oh, totally.
It's pretty obvious.
And it seems to be that, I mean, this was a theme in Crocodile Dundee too, right? The poacher, the evil poacher. So that seems to be like a common theme within like the two Australian movies that we know.
Experts.
Yeah. So he is like, at first is trying to convince Cody that the hole that he fell in was a hole that his Joanna dug. And because he obviously poaching is illegal, he's wanted, and Cody's going to go back and tell people. So he's trying to convince him. So he's going to let the kid go. And then Joanna, the goanna, that's what I need to say, sees the little mouse that he saved in his backpack. So starts to attack his backpack, and then they get into like a tumble. And McLeach gets so upset. He's always like so annoyed at Joanna that he goes for his gun and he's going to shoot her. But he's like wrestling with the boys. I'm like, what are you doing? So through his rifle scope, he sees this big gold feather that the bird, his new bird friend gave to Cody. So he's like, whoa, and there's a super rare gold eagle, right? So he was the one who killed the dad of BTW.
No surprise to anyone.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to get the mom now. Like, he must know where this bird is. So Cody, obviously, do-gooder that he is, will not tell him where the bird is. Obviously, I'm not giving up. Not a narc. So he's like, fuck you, Cody. Exactly what he says. I'm going to take you. I'm going to like basically keep you hostage until you tell me where the damn bird is. So he puts him in his creepy little cage car. Wait, is that when he has a cage car or is something else?
I think the cage is
the
there.
cage car.
Yeah, it's all part of the same.
And takes him back.
But
with him to his like lair.
Not before the little mouse runs away and goes to alert the RAS, which is Rescue Aid Society. Nice, I did it.
Yeah.
So they do like a little Morse code thing, and then there's like possibly the greatest sequence of all time in cinematic history of of a message traveling from one place to another. Maybe only eclipsed by that scene in Lord of the Rings: Return of the King where all the beacons light up. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
There's something so effective. Well, two things, first of all. Any scene that is Morse code in a movie is fucking effective, okay? Like, that is an old technology that really is not used anymore. But whenever it is, you're like, that is fucking cool. I'm going to tell you a quick story about Morse code. When I was in 4th grade, we had to take a ham radio class, guys. Ham radio.
Oh, I thought it was like optional.
No, you had to do it.
Oh.
CB radio, like what truckers use. So the way to communicate with that was to take Morse code. So we all had to learn Morse code and take a fucking test. We had to learn all the letters. We had to learn all the lingo, alpha, beta, foxtrot, like all the little code signs for the different things. But plus all the Morse code letters. So like A is like 3 dots, or it's like E is 3 dots, like S is 2 dashes. That's not what it is, but like I forget it.
How do you know like when a letter stops? How do you know you're like done making a letter?
You know what? I wish I could beam my 4th grade self here to tell you because I fucking passed that test and I remember what my call sign was. Ready?
Your name, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
AZ1 KBY.
I don't know what that means.
So that was like you'd sign on. You'd be like, this is AB1 KBY over and out.
But why?
That was my call sign on the air.
But why is that your call sign?
Yours
why isn't
would
it
be
just
something
like
else.
Emily? What did those letters stand for?
It was on my I had a ham radio license. Isn't this
But why do
crazy?
you
And they're
need-
like, you guys are going to have to renew it in 10 years. And we were like,
Oh
yeah.
shit, it's out of date. I remember when you got like the catalog, the magazine like delivered to the house, and I was like, I can't wait until I'm in 4th grade and I can do
the
ham
best
radio.
part about it is the guy they had come teach us was this like 80-year-old dude named Henry. Oh my God, he was adorable, like a little old man.
Okay,
Ugh.
but so like but truck drivers don't use Morse code, so I don't understand.
Not anymore, they don't. Oh,
So
no,
when
no,
they
no,
were driving, they were like, dee,
no,
dee,
no,
dee.
no, no, no. Morse code is from like, like the
Vortex.
like telegraph.
Yeah.
Is that telegraph? Yeah, telegraph. So like Morse, right? So like when the Titanic
Samuel
sunk,
Morse.
how they like alerted everyone that the Titanic was sunk, where they're like beep 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 beep, like so it's cables underneath the ocean.
But you said truck drivers use
they use ham
CB
radio.
radios.
So we did ham radio and Morse code. It was like a combined thing.
I need to. We will
Because
do a
over the radio
separate episode.
because over the radio you could like you weren't able to talk for a while, but you could use your little dit dashes kind of thing. It's a whole alphabet. It's like nuts.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. Well, we'll look into that more.
So yeah, so they do the whole Morse code thing, but then they also do the cool thing with a map and arrows going over, and it's this travel. How you show travel, right?
Yep.
Wait, did you mention the Indiana Jones one? That one's cool
No,
too.
it's another good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same idea. And so the message goes from one place to one place to one place, and finally ends up in New York City, where Bianca and Bernard are enjoying a romantic dinner in a chandelier. So the cutest thing about this movie is that if you like tiny things, this is the movie for you. Which Sweetie loves tiny things.
But I hate mice. So
She hates mice, so it's a weird like trade off. But this movie is so fucking clever in how it chooses to use small objects as real objects for these animals. I can't handle it. Like,
and it's worth watching a couple times to try to pick it all
because you
up.
don't see it all. And I was pointing it out tonight, and I was like, "Oh my god, the candle is a Christmas light! Oh my god!" And then like I cried. So it's amazing. But so they're eating at this restaurant, and they get the message that there's a child has been kidnapped, and they need to save him. So even though they have hundreds of mice at their disposal, the RAS needs Bianca and Bernard to do this case because they did so well in the other one, which was presumably 30 years ago. Just kidding. It's probably like the next year in their time. But so
How long do mice live?
I don't know. So they're off on the journey. They have to get to Australia. They go to contact their old albatross buddy, Orville. He has retired or something, and the business is now owned by his brother, Wilbur, and played by John Candy. So he's kind of a looser albatross. He's like real cool and like a little I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah,
like, he's not as serious.
I don't remember the
I
brother from the first one, and like if he was kooky or what.
Yeah, I don't know what his deal was, but Wilbur's kooky.
Yeah, Wilbur's a kook.
Yeah. So they're like, "Hey, we need a flight to Australia," and he's like, "Are you nuts? It's a blizzard outside." But he takes them anyways because they appeal to his empathy and like sensitivity regarding kidnapped children, which you should. It's a very like, what's it called? Important thing. I don't know. I can't think of any words right now.
Oh my God.
Okay, so they fly off to Australia, but don't worry, they don't fly the whole way. They hitch a ride with a bigger bird, aka a real plane, at some point. I don't know how or like how that trade-off happened.
Into the plane.
Yeah.
Weren't they in the plane?
And then the plane hatch open like at the right moment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's probably more like crazy mouse technology that they're just like so far advanced, like more ahead of like humans. This mouse technology, like they're fucking using soup cans as radio antennas. That is legit. That is impressive.
Mouse technology.
They're smart. So they're in Australia now. They just need to find Cody. So they land and
they find a local mouse to basically be their tour guide. Okay. Sorry, I'm just like getting caught up with the plot. So the mouse that they find, so he actually like runs the airport, I guess. So they land, and Wilbur gets a little bit injured, so he goes off on his own little like adventure to get his back fixed. And they are with this what looks to be, I think it's a kangaroo mouse, but I read that actually those only exist in the U.S. in the desert. But it looks like a kangaroo mouse because he has these like big kangaroo feet, and he's a little bit taller, and he has like a weird tail that's like skinny but has like a little puff on the end, like a lion almost. And he's hot, guys. He is hot, and he is a foil to Bernard, who so did you explain in the beginning how that they are, don't really know what the sitch is with Bernard and Bianca, because obviously they're work partners, which you're like, okay, like don't mix business and pleasure. Like,
but
it's
she
not
kisses
good.
him on the cheek sometimes, so it's confusing.
And they're going out to a romantic dinner, so
Yeah.
you're like, I think
What's
they are
the
dating.
end game here? Yeah.
So I think they're dating. And he wants to propose, and he tries to propose at the restaurant, in the chandelier, but then they get called away to this thing. So he brings a little ring with him, and he's like, thinking of proposing while they're on this trip. But all of a sudden, this hot mouse is in the picture now. And Bianca is, either clueless or playing along because maybe she wants Bernard to step it up.
I think she's just really nice. I think she's just like oblivious to all male. Like she's just like, oh, they're just being nice to me. Is she naive? I don't know.
Right. But I think she also kind of wanted Bernard to step it up a little bit and also wanted him to realize his own greatness almost because he powerful. He's like a little bit meek. He wears like a sweet little red turtleneck sweater and a newsy cap to Australia. I mean, he's adorable. And then this like hot guy comes in and he's like all over his woman. And instead of like getting jealous, he's just sweet little Bernard. So I think she wanted him to like step up a little bit. Anyway, so they take Jake takes them like along to try to find the boy, and the boy is now in McLeach's lair, which is like a bit further away from them. They're trying to like figure out where it is. So Cody is there, and he tries to like escape a couple times. There's some other animals there: a koala, a kangaroo, this hilarious lizard named Frank. Tries to all escape with them, and they just can't do it because they're all locked up. They try to get the keys. Joanna's there. It's like all these little things. So finally McLeach decides like, okay, brilliant idea. Like the boy wants to protect the eagle's egg. So if I tell the boy that the mom is dead, then he's going to go and try to take care of the eggs and lead me straight to the bird. So he has this brilliant idea to let the boy go and like let him basically lead him to where the eagle lives. And then along that same time, Bernard, Bianca, and Jake find him, right?
Yes. And they're like, why did they let him go? Because it's a trap. That was a terrible. I don't know whose voice that was. That was just my voice. It was. I think it was Admiral Akbar's voice.
Admiral Akbar.
Just always slips in. You can't say that sentence without saying it in Admiral Akbar's voice. R.I.P. Admiral Akbar. Spoiler. Sorry. So they follow Cody, and then they try to warn him that it's a trap. It's happening again. So McLeach is there, and he's ready. He aims with this like giant, which I thought was a rocket that he was shooting at the bird to like explode her, but it actually releases a trap in the air and catches her, and then Cody jumps after her, and there's this whole big like scene and ruckus, and the mice go
device, because you gotta wonder like how a poacher really catches like birds.
They just shoot them,
right? But like, what was the point of capturing her alive? To sell her alive? No. Like,
I have no clue. I have no idea about poaching. Yeah. And also because this is not a real bird, so I don't have like comparison of how people do what they do in that case. I mean, I don't. Maybe because you'd want to like stuff it, like bald eagle, like a.
Yeah, but you could do that if you shot it down, though.
Right. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean,
I think
they kept her alive,
the main reason is that it's a Disney movie, and they obviously don't want to shoot the bird and have all the kids cry
cool contraption,
forever. Though. Yeah, interesting. So I wonder who does he do his own inventions? I don't know. Yeah. So there's this whole great rescue scene, and they save Cody and the bird, and then McLeach falls into the waterway. What is it?
Crocodile infested water.
So there's a big waterfall filled with crocs, and he goes over the waterfall. See ya, McLeach. Nice knowing you. He's probably dead, but we don't know for sure. But I'm assuming. I mean, the outlook does not look great.
Pretty big one.
Yeah, it was very, very tall. So then the bird's loose, so she rescues Cody and the mice, and they fly off, and they're like, "Yay!
Job well done."
And so, I mean, he's rescued. Hooray! They did it again. Rescuers again. So that's it. And obviously, we skipped over some scenes in it on purpose because we're going to talk about them.
And Bernard finally gets to propose to Bianca.
And she says maybe. No. She says yes. And Jake's like, well done, mate, because he sees that Bernard does have potential, and he rescued them, so he respects him now. So that's the flick. Yeah. It is only an hour and 17 minutes long.
Perfect.
Which is more than I could ask for the length of a movie. Really into that. But yeah, so like we said, we love this movie. I mean, a few reasons why, but I think primarily are these weird inside joke scenes that we have. And I would love to hear from some of you to see if you had similar reactions to these scenes or if we're just really fucking weird. So let's go through these favorite sweetie scenes.
Okay.
So you start.
Okay, so we did talk a little bit about this one already, but obviously, like the RAS telegraph Morse code scene. But I just want to add to this that, like, in addition to the cool Morse codey stuff and all the little mouse inventions and stuff like that, is that there's little mice in different shirts, which I'm obsessed with. So, like, what is the first? Oh, the first
Marshall
one.
Islands.
Oh, the Marshall Islands. And so his little, like, office where he has, like, all his little equipment is in an old abandoned plane, presumably, or like a World War II plane.
Could be Amelia Earhart.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He has a little cute bomber jacket on, like a aviator kind of style. Adorable. Yeah. Then they pass the signal off to Hawaii. And then those mice have these sweet little Hawaiian shirts, and they have this amazing setup there because I don't know like what that laboratory was, but that's another.
It was a military
yeah. Base. So another one of the only other adult people that you see. It's like nerd,
like a guy in something else, like another Disney, maybe The Brave Little Toaster. I
Reminded
don't know.
me of the guy in Goldeneye, the Alan Cummings character.
Yeah. There's a guy in my office building that looks exactly like Alan Cummings, and it freaks me the fuck out every time.
Awesome.
I'm like, whoa. But yeah, this part is classic. So there's different shirts, but really, is there? And then what's after Hawaii? Texas or something?
No, I think that even might be it. But I don't know, why it feels like there's more.
Texas is coming, like something with the cowboys.
But they do like Western. Such cool stuff with the mice clothing. Let's say, I mean that. So not only once we go to the United Nations part, but then like every other mouse you see has like the cutest little clothing on, and like we said, like Bernard always has the cute turtleneck sweater and the newsy cap. Miss Bianca never has actual clothes on. She always has like a wrap of some sort and accessories.
She loves her accessories
and a cool hat.
Yeah,
but it's like different all the time, and she's so adorable and like cute.
She's classy. She's a classy broad.
Classy bitch.
So my favorite part of that scene is the part at the military base in Hawaii. So that nerdy guy with the glasses is like looking at his military computers, and then all of a sudden the screen is filled with RAS. And so when I was little, I was like, RAS. And like, I thought that was like a RAS, like, I didn't connect the dots that like RAS was like their society. I thought it was just like a mouse noise that they used to communicate. I don't know what my brain was happening.
In Witches, the fake society?
Yeah. Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children or something.
That always reminded me of that too.
Yeah. So then the best part is the guy at the computer like makes this like scrunched up face and then like just hits a couple buttons, and I was like, what? So whenever my computer's doing something really annoying and stupid that I don't understand, I always imagine that I'm that guy in that scene, and I'm always just like, wow, and like it's great. It's my favorite thing to do. But yeah, that scene is great. Love it. We love it. Next, I think, is the pea soup scene. Yep. I wrote Pea Soup, the best thing that's ever happened to my life, and I think that's accurate.
Sorry, but like also it's like I know we say like, oh my god, we like use this thing like everyday life all the time. Okay, I use this like every time I see a pea. Like, do you know how? Okay, here's the deal. Did you ever buy frozen peas? And like those are like the one thing that there's always going to be like just one somewhere, or like in your freezer there's like a couple that just like are these like renegade peas that like make their way out of the bag.
Yeah.
And I cannot not see a single pea lying anywhere and not go pea soup.
So the scene is in the fancy restaurant for like the real people. A waiter walks by and a pea falls off a plate and falls on the ground. And then this little cricket comes out of the wall and like takes the pea, brings it back into this catapult, which is made by like a spoon and a thimble and a matchstick. And he goes, pea soup, and puts it in the thing, flips it. It goes into another thimble that is a pot where the chef cricket sees it, stirs it, adds a lot of salt. Some would say too much salt.
It's his only spice.
Stirs it up for 2 seconds and is like, pea soup. And then his voice is really low. And I think that's so there's two really pea soup lines, right. But I think that's the one that we always try to mimic. And then they put it in a bowl and bring it off to a diner. So it's just
okay. So does this mean that the restaurant in the chandelier is like anything that falls on the floor is on the menu of the restaurant. The Chandelier.
So maybe they don't have a menu and it's
No.
just like a chef's choice.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I'm
What if
thinking.
nothing falls on the floor and then all the diners are like, "Where's the food?"
I was just going to ask you, what else could fall on the ground that you could make food out of?
Well, here's what I'm thinking. I mean, if they bring plates to the kitchen, do those immediately go in the garbage, or is there like a waiting period where grasshoppers are stationed in the kitchen and can take the leftovers? I don't know.
It just seems like
I
a
would
shoddy system to make your restaurant.
I would love to
around.
know so much more about that restaurant. I am forever fascinated by it. I think it's glorious, and I love that the grasshoppers are French because it's a French restaurant. It's fine. Sure. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Are we sure they're not cockroaches? Because like
No.
cockroaches in restaurants? No.
I mean, we're not. I mean, I'm not like 100% on that, but I mean, cockroaches are gross.
But
and
like
have more
grasshoppers
legs.
don't live inside.
These ones do.
And they own a restaurant. Hello.
I don't know.
It's 5 stars. It
I
has
don't
3 Michelin
know.
stars. Yeah, that is a fucking amazing.
Yeah,
scene.
it's classic. And also, we also use that line if it's like very foggy outside. Pea soup. Like it's thick as pea soup. We're always like pea soup. Or anytime there's actual pea soup somewhere, obviously we're going to say that line. It's handed to us on a platter of pea soup. So it's like, it just makes sense.
I love our soup lines. I just thought to also mention the one in the witches. They're eating the soup.
Excuse me, Flo. What's the soup du jour?
Oh, we have that one too. Whoa, we have a lot of soup lines. I love soup.
We love
I'm such a
soup.
soup whore.
Yeah,
I
you
love
are.
soup.
I'm over it, but
What?
I like
Oh,
soup lines, but not like eating soup. I don't know. I'm just not fun. I'm just not into soup anymore.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, okay. So I think the next one for me would be, so once you get the albatross of Wilbur the albatross introduced into the scenes, he's hilarious. Like I would say one of the best parts of this movie is the John Candy role of Wilbur. And he's just like wacky, doing his John Candy, which it just feels very improvisational to me, which is so like John Candy-ish, which I love. And it totally fits in this character because he's just a wackadoodle. So the best part for me with all the albatross stuff is when, so they land and he basically throws out his back. And they're like, you got to go to the doctor. So they take him to the doctor's, which is like a surgery in like an old, again, looks like World War II ambulance of sorts. And you have this like doctor and all these cute little fat nurse mice with these like tiny high-pitched voices. Oh my God. So he's this like giant bird and it's all these little mice and they're trying to contain him and strap him down. He's like freaking out. Oh my God. So then they like do this thing where they have to tranquilize him and they're putting tranquilizer darts into this rifle. Oh man. That scene just fucking
It's
kills
so good.
me.
Yeah. It's great. And it's funny because I bet you anything that they had John Candy like sign into this role, right? And then they were like, now I feel like we're underutilizing him. So they must have made this scene because this scene isn't important to anything and it's just a way really to get Wilbur to not be with them so that they have to think of other means to get to Cody. And then he like meets back with them like later, right? So it's really, and his back is just like, oh, I'm fine, just kidding. Yeah. So it's really just a diversion, but it's really just more comedic relief and just a really hilarious scene. And then the best part of this scene, and something that was kind of sweet confusion for us, or me anyways, was so he's like, he gets knocked out with the tranquilizer and then he wakes up finally and he's like, I feel like I've got my head in a vice. And then the camera backs out and he has a vice on his head, so it makes sense.
Did we talk about that during the Nick Arcade episode? Because I just listened to that recently.
Why did we talk about a vice in that?
Because they had like one of the games in Nick Arcade was like, what's in this vice?
Oh, yeah. And it was like a sandwich. Yes. Oh yes, we did. We did talk about that, and we talked about like I did not know what a vice was.
It's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
But we had one in our dad's workshop, which I like to play with, and but I didn't make the connection that it was the same thing in The Rescuers Down Under. But I always remember that line. I didn't realize that line was so funny until I realized that he did have a vice on his head. Yeah. So it's classic, but it's so funny.
Why was his head in a vice?
To like stabilize him, I guess is my guess. It seems like shoddy hospital work there. They were like they tranquilized him only, it seems, to take X-rays, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. They did not tranquilize him where they were going to use a chainsaw to cut him open.
The best part of that whole scene, so other than the vice part, is that like, so they're gonna do surgery on him, and they start like whipping out all these like really weird, and then they call them kind of funny equipments, and he's just like watching the equipment get thrown over him, and they're calling it like the speculator, the like spinal tap, like, you know, doing all these like medical terms. So the best part is that they throw one out, and one is a spur from like a cowboy boot. The little doctor is like, "This is rusted solid. I would never use this." And he like chucks it away. Yeah. Like, what were they gonna do with a spur?
I don't know. Again, would love to know more about that procedure and how that mouse hospital operates.
My God.
Suspicious. I think it's suspicious, and he could maybe get his mouse doctor license revoked. I'm just saying, it seems a little inappropriate.
That's a malpractice.
It's so good. Yeah, but it's a great scene. So the other great thing about this movie is that usually in Disney movies, there's like one comedic relief character, right? Who's the funny one who gets all the laughs. So in Frozen, it's Olaf, I would say. But in this movie, there's several. Like you were saying, John Candy is like one of the best like characters, right? The albatross. But there's also Joanna, who is amazing comedic relief, and she doesn't even talk. There's Frank the Lizard, who is my favorite character. I'm obsessed with him. I love him so much. There's the sassy koala in that same prison who's like very sarcastic, and I love him. And then, there's just like so many good characters, which is rare, I think.
And again, that balance of, which I feel like we talk about a lot, where it's like, you know, we talk about it in the sense that like we watch a lot of movies as kids that we weren't supposed to watch, but if they're good movies and the comedy's well done, you'll laugh at it whether you get the joke or not, right? But for these Disney movies, and like what people always say about Pixar too, is that it applies no matter what. Like whether you're a kid, you'll be like, okay, that's funny because it's silly and I like silly. But then there's also a clever dynamic to it that applies to the adults and why like they would enjoy it.
Well, and it's just
and
like
that's so well done.
And like funny, like good comedy is always fun. Like funny is funny, right? It's not. It doesn't need to be dumbed down.
But I think there are dumbed down kids movies that I've watched when I've been like, this is like not that great.
For sure. I agree with that. So this next scene, which is the all the other animals in McLeach's weird animal prison. I don't know why he keeps all these animals alive for so long. Like, how long have they been there?
Who knows?
I don't understand his end game.
Is he feeding them?
I don't know. Probably not. Maybe because if it's like Silence of the Lambs, where like if you starve them longer, the skin gets looser and is better to make suits out of. I don't know. So this scene is great because of all the different animal dynamics. So Cody gets thrown in a cell with the lizard Frank, and everything Frank says is amazing. He's a hilarious character, and I love him so much. And then you get the koala chiming in, and they're all trying to break out. So I love that scene in general, and I just like to think about it every now and again and smile, and I think it's a great scene.
And we also learned that the koala.
Oh, yeah. Go.
Oh. The koala, whose name is Cribs. MTV Cribs, is voiced by the same guy who plays the Sultan in Aladdin.
Oh my God, it makes sense.
Listen for that.
Yeah, I kind of heard a little
me too.
I know you from somewhere. Does that mean he's not really Australian? I am so jealous of his accent. But I love that scene when he's like, we'll be able to get out of here. Like, you'll go as a wallet, you'll go as a belt, and Frank will go as a purse.
I don't want to go as a purse.
Oh my God, I love it so much. I love that scene. And then I was telling Sweetie that I'm so upset that there's not a scene that involves like Wilbur taking them back to McLeach's paddock and freeing all those animals. Like, are they just hanging out there? And they're like, well, what do we do now? Wonder how Cody's doing. Hope he's okay. And like, I don't know. I'm just really sad about it. And I swear there was a after credits sequence that showed them still hanging out and being like, okay.
So the Sultan's British, but
still, it's impressive.
Easy to do. Good.
But, maybe I'm mixing that scene up with the end of Finding Nemo, where all the animals are in the bags and they have like successfully rolled from the dentist office into the water, like the plan. And now they're like, now what do we do? Because they're just stuck in bags. So maybe I was mixing it up with that. But I'm still very upset about that, to the point that I even Googled immediately, do the animals get freed at the end of The Rescuers Down Under? No results. I'm shocked.
They do.
I hope so, because that would just be terrible. Any other favorite sweetie scenes?
Think. I do like the scene. Okay, so like during the whole parts where it's Bernard, Bianca, and Jake like running through the outback, and there's some great stuff there because they basically touch all like the animals and stuff that you're familiar with in the outback, and they're like riding on fireflies, and they ride on, they're trying to get transport, which is apparently like a far journey to like McLeach's hideout. So but like Bernard keeps getting the shaft. Like he's just like, he can't work his firefly. He like is on the back of the snake, like, and it's his girl and Jake like up front, and he's like kind of wooing her and whatever. So at one point they get separated, right? So like Bianca and Jake get like put in with Cody and the bird, and then Bernard's by himself, and he has to be the hero. So there's a scene before that where Jake like wrestles a snake, and he ties his snout with a rope, and he goes, listen here, like fella, like we got a long way to go, and you're gonna take us there, right? And it's just about like being direct, even though the snake, which would be killer of mice, is just telling them who's boss, and that's like what Jake says. So Bernard's like a little meek, whatever, but he like uses that same technique later with like the warthog kind of a thing. What do they call those? Razorback. And he wrestles him with his horns, and he does the same line. He's like, I got a long way to go. You're going to take me there, right? And then the Razorback like, okay. He like shakes his head, and that's what he's able to use to like go after his friends and help them. And I just like love that arc of Bernard, like getting to be the hero, and like it's really sweet. And to the point where you're like, why are these mice so strong?
Right.
What are they eating?
Especially Bernard now has two scenes where he shows his strength. So the first one is wrestling this warthog to the ground, easily it seems, and then the second is rescuing Cody from the water after he falls in, and there's a rope holding him, and Bernard jumps in this raging fucking water, swims down, grabs the rope, somehow pulls it back up.
He ties it around a tree branch, but is using his strength to like pull it against his tree branch.
Like I couldn't even do that. I
mean, the kid's at least
fairly
50 pounds.
confident I would not be able to do that. I am surprised.
In a raging river.
I mean, we'll just have to suspend belief here, because there's several things, like really big eagles. What are they doing here? What is this? Is this Lord of the Rings? I don't think so. And it's like, so Sweetie, tell a story about your Sweetie confusion about the eagle.
So when did this movie come out? 1990. Okay. So I would have been 7. Okay, that's still pretty young. I wasn't a total dummy. I was just 7. So I thought, again, not knowing a lot about Australia. As a little kid, there's a place called Australia. You know about all the animals that live there. That's taught. Maybe I've seen some in zoos, whatever. But, you don't really know. What's going on in Australia. So I watched this movie, and I was convinced, we had bald eagles here. They're big, but they're not like whatever, that big. I was convinced there's actually a species of an eagle that large. Why wouldn't I?
It makes sense. Everything else exists.
Right.
It's not like they made up other animals that we know of.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought there was a great golden eagle. If I had the internet in 1990, I probably would have Googled it and been, I'm just going to Google that right now.
I bet there is one, but it's not as big.
Not that big.
But yeah, and then part of me is like, why is the eagle so big? Is Cody just very small? No, it's just a really big eagle. So we'll Google this and find out. In addition to that, I think this movie also kind of gives you some unfair expectations as a kid. So
it's not in Australia.
It's not
Australia, and it's not even gold.
But there is a golden eagle.
It's brown. Yeah.
Oh. Was it like a bald eagle? Like why is it golden?
Looks like a bald eagle, but brown.
It's pretty shitty. It's a pretty shitty golden eagle. It's not even.
That sucks.
It's not even a little bit big. Anyway, so I think that this movie has basically continuously disappointed me in that it makes me realize that reminds me that animals don't actually talk. And I think that my whole life I was just waiting, for an animal, a mouse, to come up to me and be like, hey, I can talk. You're part of our world now. You're Cody. You're going to help us. And that never happened. And I'm still a little bit sad about that animals don't talk.
No, I know.
Seems unfair.
And I wonder if like Cody lost his ability to talk to animals once he got older.
I hope not. That'd be so sad.
Why can he talk to animals?
I don't know. Dr. Dolittle can talk to animals.
Okay, so that brings me to my original question from the beginning. Yes. So as I said, the only adults they show are the bad guy, McLeach, and then that one guy in the like military base who's the RAS thing, like the geeky guy. Mm-hmm. They have rangers, and then they have Cody's mom, but they don't show their faces. How come?
Well, fundamentally, it's they wanted to focus on the kids and the animals. Right. It kind of reminds me in that way of the Muppet Babies, where like the adult is there, but it's just like very like on the peripheral. Like you only see her legs. Charlie Brown, the teacher's voices aren't like it's not really there. It's just like there.
Yeah, it's just a different
essence. World. Yeah, so they're kind of just making that bigger world. And then the one adult we do really see is McLeach, who is fucking terrifying. So I might be bold here in saying that I think he's one of the scariest Disney villains of all time. Mm-hmm. Maybe second only to like Cruella de Vil, who I find to be the most terrifying. No, sorry, that is false. There's a few others. There's Cruella, but really only in that scene where she's driving behind them and has like fucking scary demon eyes. Yeah. Terrifying. Ursula's a little scary. She scared me when I was little. Story about that when we watched Little Mermaid. Number 3, I had a really irrational fear of Maleficent and Sleeping Beauty.
She's terrifying.
Yeah, she's terrifying but beautiful, so I'm really conflicted about it. But there's something about her that beckons me, but her horns are just very scary because I'm like, are you the devil?
Yeah.
It's terrifying. But anyways, I think McLeach is a great villain. He's really psycho though. And right. I mean, Sweetie and I are a little unclear about his motives and how he gets from point A to point B. So I'm going to venture a guess that he's not psychologically sound.
No.
So I don't understand his endgame. He's like kidnapping Cody basically, so he won't go to the rangers and tell them where he is and that he's a poacher. But then when he does find the eagle and catches it, he then ties Cody to a rope and lowers him down into the crocodile infested water because he threw his backpack in there, so now he needs to like make a clean break. Like he can't let the kid go because he's always going to tell the rangers.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand that escalation from like poaching, which yes, I understand that like poaching is murder, but it's still animals and not humans, to escalate to killing a little boy. Yeah, I just don't. That's.
Yeah, I think it's just the idea that
I think he just got nutty. I mean, even more nutty.
I don't know. I think he was probably always going to have to kill him because you can't let him go. Like, it's not like you can let him go after you find the bird. He's still going to tell people. Like, there's no way he's not going to tell.
I mean, it's a little kid, so it's like, how much like weight does his story? Oh man, that guy like killed an eagle. I mean, I don't know. Is he like that great of a witness? He's 7.
I don't know, but yeah, McLeach is terrifying, and he reminds. There's this really great Australian horror movie called Wolf Creek, where the bad guy is this like very scary kind of outback guy, and I like fairly certain they modeled him after McLeach in this movie. Like,
well, they said, I mean,
just terrifying.
Take what you will. The stupid IMDb trivia, which is like retarded. Sorry, I hate that word. It was just dumb. But they said they're like, yeah, and then they like modeled Gaston and the villain in Pocahontas, like basically every villain that came after him against McLeach. And I'm like, what? Based on what?
The body type?
That he was a villain? His face?
Might be the body type. He did have a kind of a Gaston where like his upper body is giant and then his legs have like they're a little smaller, but not, I can't explain it, but I kind of see where they're going with that. But again, I'm like, I think that's just like an archetype for like a bad guy.
And I will say, like, with the voice talents of George T. Scott, that like really made the character like even scarier, because that guy's fucking intense and scary, and it really worked.
Yeah.
So awesome for getting him.
Another favorite scene that we forgot to talk about is the egg scene with Joanna. So this like one of my favorite scenes maybe ever, and it just like makes me giggle because it's such what is that, like physical comment? Like Joanna doesn't talk, right? So this whole scene is just hilarious because of her actions and what she's doing and her like expressions. So McLeach has this one of those like old school like construction worker lunch boxes. And he has a bunch of eggs in there, and she's obsessed with eggs because because she's some kind of lizard that likes eggs or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be I think they eat, isn't one of those lizards that they eat eggs from nests of other animals?
Are you thinking of the egg stealer dinosaur? What is
no,
that
but
called?
that reptiles and that got like passed on.
Maybe. But it's weird because
They lay eggs?
so it's
That's
like, interesting. But I mean, we can Google that later for you. But she just like one by one steals the eggs and like it gets him to move the lunchbox like back and forth. And he's like, "You're dumb. I'm so much smarter than you." And then he opens up the lunch thing and they're all gone. Ugh, it's so good.
You know how every, we could do some back research on this, but like almost every Disney villain has like a little sidekick that you like are never as evil as the actual villain. So
Yeah.
you actually like them.
That's 100%.
Right?
That I think that is in every Disney movie.
Right?
I would say you find that. So
To balance them out, you think? And so it makes it not as like scary?
Yeah, I think so. And they're always like the comedic relief. So you've got the barracuda things or the eels in Little Mermaid.
Flotsam and jetsam.
Yes, which I don't love, and they do end up dying actually, which I'm not that sad about. Beauty and the Beast, you have LeFou, who is pretty funny and a great character. Aladdin, Iago, hello. Gilbert Godfrey, come on, it's great.
Yep.
And then the Lion King, you have the hyenas, which are three people.
Flotsam and jetsam, kind of like, right?
Right. We're like, I'm not super connected to them, and I think they're pretty big dicks, but like, they do have like funny moments. But in this one, Joanna kind of survives.
Yeah.
So she falls into the crocodile infested waters as well, but is smart enough to swim away and like goes on the rocks. And then she just kind of like watching McLeach about to go over this giant waterfall, and she just like waves like bye, and he's like, what? And then he falls off, and it's so great. So okay.
Well, I think the great thing about her though is that she's basically like an abuse victim.
Oh my God. So yes. So get this. Okay, this is a great parallel. So here's my alternate ending of this movie is that Joanna goes home to the McLeach paddock. She has a change of heart, a la the witch in The Witches at the end, who was in this whole company and then is like, just kidding, I want to be good. She frees all the animals and is like, let's be friends. I'm sorry I was mean to you. I've changed my ways. And then they all live together and create their own like kind of rescue agency in the outback. I mean, that is just, let's make that.
You just applauded yourself.
I'm just really excited about it, and I want to make that right now.
Joanna's story.
I love Joanna. I think I said Frank was my favorite, but it might be Joanna. It might be Joanna. And I love that her name is Joanna because our aunt's name is Joanna, and I think it's very funny.
And I think that's a great name for like a lizard pet. Kind of thing.
You let any animal name that is like a real person's name is pretty great.
Love it.
It always works.
Yeah, she's great. Because it's just like you just feel bad for her, and she's really. I mean, she's like a dog that's being like abused. She only wants to please her master, and he's horrible to her. So she's only doing the bad things because she thinks it'll please him, not that she really knows that even it's bad, you know. Right. And she's kind of dumb, but smart at the end because she swims away and lives.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
definitely. I mean, tough call, Sweetie Club inductee.
In the alternate Sweetie version of her
I mean,
life,
we can do two because
okay.
I would induct Joanna.
Okay, and then who's your first one? Bernard. Yeah,
Bernard all the way.
I agree. Yep, 100%. I mean, he's like a poster boy for the Sweetie Club.
I mean, basically, we should just not Grammy off as president and put in Bernard.
I'm thinking about it because she's getting a little surly in her old age. She's getting a little less sweet.
Nah.
Just kidding. Love you, Graham.
We're gonna have a coup. Sweetie Club coup d'etat.
No, we're just kidding, Graham. We're just kidding. Don't you tell her about this, Kate Conti. I know you're listening. So I agree with that. such a great movie. I mean, if you haven't seen this in a while, highly recommend you rewatch it.
Don't get it from the BPL because you will not be able to watch the DVD.
There is a large scratch on this disc, which I am very upset about, and I will be writing a letter. No, just kidding. I probably won't. And then some other poor sucker will rent it and be like, "Oh shit, it doesn't play." So I could be doing good if I report it, but I don't know.
Doing well.
You know what? You can take your sorries and stuff them in a sack. Your grammar
you would be
usage.
doing well in that situation. I think you did good.
I think I did do good because that's like Superman does good. You do well. In how you're doing. I'm doing well.
Doing well.
Yes.
Superman does. Yeah, you're right. I incorrectly grammatized you. That's not a word.
You should be. Yeah, exactly.
Call me on that.
Exactly. Anything else?
No.
Cool. No. Cool. Yeah, so Disney movies, more to come. Obviously, I'm super excited about it. Sweetie's super excited about it. We're here. We're here for it.
It's gonna happen, guys.
So we'll start requesting those.
Let the Disney waterfall begin.
Watching those. But yeah, thanks for hanging with us. Sorry we didn't do any bad Australian accents, which again I would just like to apologize for. We weren't trying to insult anyone. It's just honestly. Again, like we said, our only 2 reference points are Crocodile Dundee and this movie. So what do you expect? That's what they're showing us. Change the conversation, people. I need more Australian education. We need more things out there. It just no one knows. It's just that's all we know, and it's unfortunate.
Give us the shows,
and it's a really and honestly, it's just a really hard accent to do. So like it's very difficult. So congrats for having that naturally. Good job.
Didn't take a lot of work.
But yeah, good times. Yeah, so thanks for listening. Catch us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge. Send us. Thanks for listening. Bye.